well-respected businessman. He was the Miami Marlins president for like 16 years in Major League Baseball. He has a business sports show with the former CEO of ESPN, John Skipper. And he was on the Dan Le Batard show, and guess what? They were talking about the WNBA. All right? And, of course, we found out yesterday afternoon the WNBA Players Association voted to authorize a potential strike. In other words, they could now strike at any...
Various statements and remarks have emerged surrounding the possibility of a WNBA work stoppage initiated by the Players Union. The situation appears concerning, given that decision-making authority has been delegated to a committee consisting of 3 individuals, including the president of Project Basketball and 2 vice presidents who simultaneously hold positions with Unrivaled. These officials are making determinations that impact a competing league while representing the players' interests. The arrangement seems problematic, with many questioning how both players and league officials accepted this configuration.
Voted to authorize a potential strike. In other words, they could now strike at any time. We have also found out that the WNBA owners have a new offer on the table. And I got to tell you, if the players don't take this offer, they're idiots. They're idiots. There's no excuses. Because by the time you get to the final year of this offer, the final year of this deal that's on the table, the max players are making...
The setup defies logical reasoning, as any rational observer would recognize the conflict of interest. If the situation involved different circumstances, players would likely demand removal of committee members affiliated with rival organizations, as such arrangements reflect poorly on everyone involved. Representation on these committees should consist of individuals without connections to competing leagues, particularly within the United States. Commentary from observers echoes this sentiment.
Offer the final year of this deal that's on the table, the max players are making what you're making in Project B, $2 million. And the minimum salary, we're talking, I mean, this is more than fair. But if it is truly the revenue sharing angle the players want, before we get to the specifics of what has been offered, if it is truly the revenue sharing heart that the players want, David...
Analysis suggests the union desired the strike authorization vote to become public knowledge, allowing players to project strength and toughness. The prediction holds that at the final moment they'll reach an agreement with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and accept whatever terms are presented. Recent revelations from David Sampson, a respected sports business analyst, indicated that revenue-sharing discussions have concluded unsuccessfully. The concept won't materialize because NBA ownership refuses to accept such terms.
Revenue-sharing heart that the players want, David Sampson said players are not going to get it, and the owners will end the WNBA.
Really trying to get a landing spot for tons of issues, not just housing or minimums or tagging a percentage of revenue.
If the players are not going to move on a revenue split versus derive revenue share off of a fixed number, what is your opinion on what happens?
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move. There's not going to be
The women must comply with these limitations if they wish to continue playing, otherwise the league faces potential closure. The ownership group simply won't surrender control over revenue distribution under any circumstances. ESPN's Alexa Filippo published information explaining the strike authorization. WNBA Players Association President Nneka Ogwumike characterized the vote as a symbol of our unity and the confidence that we have in each other to be able to give ourselves some level of authority in these negotiations. She also described the action as providing as much leverage as possible to get a good deal done. Essentially, Ogwumike acknowledged this represents a public demonstration of strength, a show of force meant to project power.
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move. There's not going to be a fixed number. It doesn't make sense to me for the WNBA to demand that, for the players to demand that right now. I understand. The biggest thing they did wrong, they said this is their moment. And so they've put a lot of pressure on themselves to make huge changes in the collective bargaining agreement because this is their moment. What you try to do is make incremental benefits through the course of multiple agreements.
That's exactly.
The ultimate outcome will involve signing an agreement. The optics matter significantly because announcing strike willingness creates an impression of resolve. While the decision theoretically rests with over 150 players, actual authority belongs to the 7-member WNBPA Executive Committee. The statement continues, "This means we could strike if we need to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we want that to happen."
Benefits through the course of multiple agreements.
That's exactly what your boy said. Me. They're trying to go for too much at one time, especially involving a league that's never turned a profit. Get your salary increase and then revisit in 3 years after the owners have actually put a profit in their pockets for the first time because of your media rights deal. Let the owners actually make some money because he makes it real clear. Like if you listen to this.
But we have it in our arsenal in order to get us exactly what we need, which is a fair deal that represents our value in a very meaningful way. Consideration must be given to the mathematical reality of the situation. Calculations reveal players are examining an 8-fold maximum salary increase by the conclusion of the proposed agreement. Assuming a 3-year contract term, the final year would deliver 8 times the current maximum compensation. Rejecting such an offer creates terrible public perception, making the union appear unreasonable under most conceivable circumstances.
Owners actually make some money because he makes it real clear. Like if you listen to this whole thing, he makes it very clear the owners want to be paid back for all the money they've lost over the years. And I don't blame them. It's debt.
And so I don't think they should have gone for everything they're going for right now because they put themselves in a corner where they feel like they have to get it or it's like a major loss.
What did you say on the front end of this?
He said the end of the WNBA.
What are you saying is going to happen if...
let's be clear, Dan. People are not talking about this enough. We talked about it on the sporting class.
Regarding conditions that would trigger actual strike action, Ogwumike noted that authorization provides an option if negotiations stall, while believing discussions remain in early stages. The WNBA repeatedly stated in official communications that they strongly disagree with the WNBPA's characterization of the current state of negotiations. When questioned about factors that might prompt the executive committee to initiate a work stoppage, the response suggested premature speculation. Such questions might become relevant closer to the January 9th deadline. Aside from revenue-sharing objectives, determining factors that could lead to strike authorization remains unclear.
Going to happen if...
let's be clear, Dan. People are not talking about this enough. We talked about it on the sporting class, and obviously you know John Skipper's involvement in Unrivaled, but you also have talked about what Project B is. You understand there are players who are getting paid multi-millions of dollars to go play in another league in another country. This is the moment. If you had any ability to invest and you wanted to start a league to compete with the WNBA, this is the time. Every player is a free agent. All of them want money and need money.
Industry observers hold varying perspectives regarding strike probability and strategic wisdom, particularly given the extended time frame before season commencement and the union's apparent tactical approach. One industry source questioned the logic: if you're so far apart, as the union claims, and the negotiations have not gone well, and you have the right to strike at any point, why aren't you striking? If it's all negative with no progress, what are you waiting on? One player representative told ESPN that refusing and walking away sometimes constitutes effective negotiation strategy. These tactics all fall within standard bargaining procedures. However, not everyone believes the league will accommodate player demands more readily due to strike threats. Another agent predicted NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is going to step in and say, "Ladies, we're not moving on this and this, but we will do this and this. And then we're going to get a deal done in early January." This analysis suggests Silver will draw firm boundaries, refusing revenue sharing while offering alternative concessions. The willingness to provide an 8-fold salary increase exists, but certain issues remain non-negotiable breaking points. Despite strike discussions, widespread consensus exists among insiders that players and league officials recognize the critical importance of conducting a 2026 season. Missing games therefore seems improbable, one league source acknowledged. I think a work stoppage by technicality is possible. I'm not worried at this point about us missing games. Translation: a technical strike might occur for public perception purposes, possibly lasting 4 days before reaching agreement without disrupting the actual season. This approach allows players to appear courageous and principled. Media coverage will likely produce numerous articles praising the bravery and courage displayed by these women in striking against NBA ownership that's offering an 8-fold salary increase. The absurdity speaks for itself in many respects. Until approximately 8 or 9 months ago, the constant refrain involved wanting compensation matching their value. Now facing an 8-fold salary increase offer, the focus has shifted entirely to revenue-sharing demands. The suggestion remains to revisit this topic once ownership actually generates profits from league operations. Notably, considerable time has passed since last year's financial disclosure by the New York Post. Public information revealed the league lost $40 million in 2024, with that news breaking around late November. Nearly a full year has elapsed without updated financial information, and this absence might constitute strategic timing by the players' side. If revelations emerge showing the league still operates unprofitably while players demand extensive increases, the optics would prove devastatingly negative for the union. The appearance would be catastrophic, making all the "pay us what you owe us" rhetoric seem completely foolish and disconnected from business reality. Such a revelation wouldn't benefit the players' position whatsoever if financial losses continue. The WNBA faces a critical junction as professional sports business experts warn that the league's future is at stake. David Sampson, a seasoned sports executive and former president of the Miami Marlins, recently highlighted the severe tension between the WNBA Players Association and the league's owners. While the players have officially voted to authorize a potential strike to leverage their demands, the owners have presented a substantial new contract offer. Under this proposed deal, maximum salaries could jump from the current $249,000 to $1 million by 2026, eventually reaching nearly $2 million. Minimum wages would also see a significant boost to $250,000, and average pay would rise to over $530,000. Despite these massive increases, a major deadlock exists regarding the structure of revenue sharing. The players are pushing for a model similar to the NBA, but analysts suggest that Adam Silver and the ownership group will not agree to such a split for a league that has yet to generate a profit. Sampson argues that if players refuse to compromise on a fixed number revenue share and insist on a full percentage split, the owners may choose to dissolve the WNBA entirely rather than continue operating a financially unviable business. The owners are reportedly focused on recovering the significant financial losses they have sustained over many years before committing to the types of splits seen in more established leagues. This conflict arrives at a time when the WNBA has more visibility than ever, yet this moment has created intense pressure for immediate, sweeping changes rather than the incremental growth typical of professional sports. There is also the emerging threat of external competition. Other well-funded projects are beginning to pay athletes millions to play in alternative settings. If the WNBA were to fold during this standoff, some suggest the cultural impact might be less significant than anticipated, given the league's specific audience size. Ultimately, the players may be forced to choose between accepting the current record-breaking salary offer or risking the total collapse of the league, as the owners appear unwilling to yield to demands they view as unsustainable.